just see past the skin, I can take off the skin.
Okay, bones or muscles? Bones?
Oh, cool.
Whoa. So it's basically just a giant computer. That's essentially what it is. This is an Anatomage table. The Anatomage table allows us to visualize real 3D rendered cadavers. So there's 5 different cadavers that are loaded on there. Those are real humans that have donated their bodies to science.
I'll just go layer by layer until I get eventually towards the organs.
This is something that allows us to still view and dissect cadavers in a much cleaner and safer way.
You can see some of his lymph nodes are swollen, so it's a really cool hands-on experience. It really exposes me to that dynamic of the body and anatomy. I think it really gets that early onset exposure to the body that I wouldn't otherwise have from just textbooks and papers.
Really? The first time I saw it, I didn't know what to expect because DLM brought this big, weird rectangle into the room and I was like, what's this? And then she turned it on and I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy.
She presented with swelling in her left throat and they knew right off the bat that it would help them be able to visualize where in the body organs are, where in the body muscles are.
We were like fighting to see who would get to touch the screen because it was so cool and we'd never seen anything like that before. We've studied anatomy in the textbooks, but actually being able to see something like that in person, it's just really cool.
We had been to Bryan school to see the actual cadavers and the students there that get to dissect, and our students knew that they wouldn't be able to do the actual dissection. Having a table like this allows them to see those structures in as live perspective as possible.
There's so much that this table can do. We are in the early exploratory phases of it still. We just got it here in late July, early August. It is like above and beyond expectations, and we're just so excited to keep learning more about it.
We can set up quizzes, we can do assessments, they can practice, we can see a beating heart and watch the blood flow. So there are things that this will do that a live cadaver wouldn't do for us.
In a cadaver, once you make a cut, you've made that cut. And that is permanent and you can't redo it or anything like that. So on a learning tool like this, you're able to do that virtual dissection, remove it layer by layer, but if you want to go back and view kind of those anatomical relationships a little bit more closely, take a little bit more closer look at the detail, any of the disease processes that are going into that, any of the pathology, you can add back layers, which you obviously can't really do that with a real cadaver.
I felt so excited and intrigued at the same time, and knowing it was an actual person, like, this probably sounds corny, but I was really grateful because, I mean, that person dedicated their body to science and we get to learn so much because they did.
Just to see those light bulbs go off, look at later, but that's a teacher's favorite moment.
I would love to be a general surgeon someday. That's the dream. I find it really fascinating, and my dad's a doctor and he's like my hero, so